Someone is trying to make the mayor of Aurora much more powerful. Do it through a ballot initiative. But whose idea is this? Might it be Aurora Mayor Mike Kaufman? He won't say if it's him, which kind of seems like the clumsy attempts at being sneaky that I see from my young children. Today, a bipartisan group of current and former elected leaders gathered in front of Aurora City Hall to say to this idea, no, let's not do this. They opposed the ballot measure that would give Aurora's mayor much more control, kind of like Denver's mayor, to hire who runs the city and all the departments, to veto city council decisions.
This really represents a fundamental change in the structure of our government. It takes the voice of 11 people and puts it into the power of one person.
That man is Councilman Curtis Gardner. He's a Republican who's usually in line with Mayor Kaufman on issues. So we still have this silly secrecy about who is really behind Aurora's strong mayor push. The group's name running this references term limits, which that sounds popular and interesting. It's a less important part of the same ballot measure that would strengthen the mayor. Here's a hint, though. Garrett Walls, one of the people who was pushing for this to make the ballot, told our partners at the Denver Gazette that the idea came from conversations with Mayor Mike Kaufman. A man who helped stop the shooting at Club Q is going to lead the Pride Parade down in Colorado Springs this year. Rich Fierro was all about building inclusive spaces before that shooting, and he defended one with his life that night. The LGBTQ community in the Springs now sees him as a hero. He sat down with our Mark Salinger.
A 1985 El Camino sits outside a brewery in Colorado Springs.
I love it. It was what I had in high school.
Soon, it'll lead a parade.
We already know what we're going to decorate with. I already bought the stuff. I'm like ready to go. But having them put Grand Marshal in things is going to be kind of wild. So
Rich Fierro never asked to be in this position. The Army veteran helped stop the shooter accused of killing 5 people at Club Q last November. Now he'll be the Grand Marshal in the first Pride Fest parade in Colorado Springs since the tragedy.
For a community to ask me, a straight dude, to be a Grand Marshal in a Pride Parade, it touched my heart and my wife and daughters. And it was the only time I cried when somebody asked me to do something. It was such a common, like all of a sudden I was part of a family, right?
Rich was at Club Q with friends and family. His daughter's boyfriend, Raymond Green Vance, was killed. 6 months later, and far from the memorial, Pride is part of the recovery.
For me, it's just a blessing to have a community that's that open and accepting of people, regardless of who they are. It's more about actions.
Or the Grand Marshal magnet.
We really thought that, what better way to honor him and, honor what he's done for the community and just how brave he is to be like the Grand Marshal for our parade.
This year, celebrating Pride balances with honoring the lives lost at Club Q. Holly Knipp and Johnny Tippett are on the team organizing it.
I'm expecting a whole spectrum of emotions, and I think most prides bring that, but I think that intensity is going to be elevated this year.
You can put stuff in the front or your banners back here.
At the front of the Pride Parade, the El Camino will be ready, driven by a man chosen to lead.
I hope it's a celebration of perseverance. This person tried to stop people from being who they are, and they're going to show who they are on this event, right?
Everything Colorado Springs Pride Fest organizers are doing this year for Pride is with the victims of Club Q in mind, along with their families. We're at a planning meeting yesterday where they talked about running every little detail by the families of the victims to make sure that they are okay with it. Kyle, we're told that there's going to be tributes throughout the weekend for all the survivors of Club Q as well as the victims.
When you think about how Colorado Springs has changed, both in reputation and in action, to come from the city that drove the measure that got us called the hate state to now where it is today, a lot of it's because there are people like Rich and others who have made conscious efforts to change the way the city operates and feels.
Exactly. So we met Rich yesterday at Atravita Beer Company, which is the brewery that he owns down in the Springs, and their kind of catchphrase, their motto is diversity is on tap. He was telling me that's not a new thing. They've lived that throughout, the decades of their lives. Now it's just coming to show everybody that that's the type of guy he is.
Yeah, and we should note that's the kind of city it now is for a lot of folks down there.
They're expecting the most people that they've ever had at Pride Fest in Colorado Springs this year.
All right, Mark, thank you. Arizona, California, and Nevada say that they are ready to make some major water usage cuts. This is Colorado River water. It's a proposal the Biden administration is calling historic today. Before anybody pops the champagne, you got to know other states are not fully on board. The 3 lower basin states, downriver states, have agreed to conserve about 3 million acre-feet of water in return for $1.2 billion of federal funding. That's enough to support about 6 million families a year. California, River's biggest user of water, would be responsible for just over half the cuts. Arizona and Nevada would split the rest. The other 4 states in the Colorado River Basin have agreed to send the plan to federal regulators for review, but it is not going with their endorsement. Spokesperson for the Upper River Basin Commission, which includes Colorado, says they have not even seen this full plan yet. The proposed deal does not cut as much water use as federal regulators wanted. So that's another thing to watch. Again, stay tuned. We'll keep you updated. It's a conversation it seems like we have before every election. Why is it that political ads are allowed to be misleading? Like the ad supporting Denver mayoral candidate Kelly Brough, the ad that claims that Mike Johnston lied about his leadership. Politics guy Marshal Zellinger explains.
Mike Johnston is lying about his leadership.
No, this political ad paid for by supporters of Kelly Brough makes this inaccurate statement and then tries to use my reporting to back it up. So let's back up. I reported on Denver mayoral candidate Mike Johnston's resume, asking specific questions about what he claims. I never said he lied.
Johnston says he built Colorado's COVID testing program.
No. He never said that, and our story never claimed that. His resume includes starting COVID Check Colorado, which was its own testing program and one of the groups that contracted with the state to run COVID testing sites free to the public. Political ads are commercials, but they are regulated differently than commercials. Regular commercials, you know, the ones for that fast food place, the furniture store, or the car dealership, those must be factual. The Federal Trade Commission requires the ads to be truthful, not misleading, and when appropriate, backed by scientific evidence. The FTC can go to court to stop untruthful commercials, even freeze the assets of the company and get compensation for victims. Political ads are not bound by the same rules. The content of political ads are protected by the First Amendment. So when they're misleading, we try to do truth tests just like this. My preference would be to run a crawl on the screen during the ad with accurate information, or even pop up a QR code with a link to a truth test. But a political ad is a commercial. The people who paid for the ad paid for the 30 seconds to do as they wish. The best I can do is this story, and hope you'll share it as widely as the ad is seen. Ads by candidates themselves have a lot of freedom to say what they want. That ad in what I just covered was from a political action committee. It was not bought by Kelly Brough herself. And because of that, the station, our bosses, have some leeway. Like when 9 News last week asked the makers of that ad to remove a 9 News logo that was added where it was not originally. Kyle.
And I think, Marshall, this one is misleading. It is not up there in the ranks of stuff we've seen, like a few years ago when Walker Stapleton's campaign for governor fabricated a 9 News headline, like wrote a headline that was not actually from 9 News, put our logo on it, and put that on TV. And I think that a lot of times the campaigns or these outside groups figure, even if they fact check it, we'll just drown it in repetition. We'll just run it so many times people will think it's true.
And that's why I think I'm onto something with the crawl on the bottom of the screen or the QR code that gives people more information at the same time that they're getting the bad information.
Like the way you think. Thank you, Marshall. Tonight, I want to thank you for how you have responded to the call to help migrants in our community. Since last week, you have raised more than $50,000 for the Newcomer Fund. That is the Rose Communities Foundation to safely collect donations in our community and then get them out efficiently to all of the small nonprofits, often really small groups, that are doing the frontline work to get migrants fed, housed, clothed, or maybe even just safely onto their next destination. When a migrant family is in a desperate spot, like what we have showed you, like preparing to sleep outside for the night or sleep in a parking garage, it's those dollars that are going to buy a hotel room, get a family dinner, keep them safe. Your Word of Thanks microgiving campaigns are now nearing the $11 million mark. If you know of a nonprofit anywhere in our state that could use our help, email that idea to next@9news.com.
Apologies to everybody with lungs. This is not going away for a few days. 3 years ago, bells started ringing in a new way at a church in Denver. They've been going ever since.
A group of us felt we had to do something. We had to do something.
And a local dream home raffle that actually gives away the grand prize home. What an idea. Next.
I hope you were able to get out and enjoy some cleaner air today. Hope that if you ran Colfax over the weekend that the smoke isn't sitting too heavy in your lungs, because we are in for another round of Smoky Skies this week. It's more smoke from wildfires in Canada that's drifted down and could linger through Wednesday. There is the view from Lookout Mountain in Golden. See, if that was fog, they would call that picturesque, but it's not, so it's a problem. The State Health Department put out an air quality alert recommending limited exposure for sensitive groups like people with pre-existing conditions. That alert covers much of North and East Colorado, lasts through tomorrow evening. Danielle Grant's along now. Danielle, I heard somebody calling this a smoke cyclone, and I need you to sort out for me. Is that a real thing, or is that like when we started naming winter storms to get people to care about them?
I mean, doesn't it sound scary and daunting a little bit? Yeah, exactly. So it's just an area of smoke that's kind of swirling around, and it's pushed in here once again to the Front Range. You can see this is our live camera around Boulder, the Flatirons. We have the Rocky Mountains. They kind of act as a wall and help keep that smoke right here. So unfortunately, like I was saying, we're in the thick of it, pun intended, for the next couple of days. Air quality remains unhealthy for those folks in the sensitive groups category. No great surprise, visibility on the poor side. And you can see up and down the I-25 corridor, everyone is going to be under that air quality alert at least through tomorrow afternoon. Hopefully it will expire. You can see the worst of the smoke, of course, up there in Canada where all these wildfires are happening. We'll zoom back down into Colorado, and by tomorrow morning, we're still going to have to deal with the worst of it. As we look ahead toward tomorrow evening, still some smoke out there, but by Wednesday morning, we'll have a bit more sunshine out there, and hopefully we'll be able to breathe easy. Out to the western slope, they're dealing with some thunderstorms out there. Nothing severe, garden variety, some gusty winds, a little bit of lightning. That's going to be about it. As we look at the futurecast, everything shuts down overnight, and tomorrow morning you wake up to some sunshine as well as some hazy, smoky skies. By about 3-4 o'clock, like clockwork, here comes the thunderstorms, and they mainly will stay out to the west. Tomorrow will be a bit warmer, upper 70s, low 80s, and then look at this. We'll have a better chance for storms on Wednesday. That will allow our winds to switch and hopefully bring us some clear skies.
You really can't blame people for letting protests or remembrances sort of fade away over time. It happens. Folks are busy. There's always something that's calling for our time and attention. But every Monday for 3 years now, the bells ring out in Park Hill in Denver in memory of George Floyd. Photojournalist Byron Reed caught up with the group's organizer.
PJ's going to welcome us, and we're going to have some words like we did a year ago. I've been ringing for 30 years. I play in a handbell choir, and I love the handbells. I'm Ruth Ann Russell, and I'm a member of Park Hill United Methodist Church, and I'm the coordinator of our Monday bell ringing for racial injustice. It started 2 weeks after the murder of George Floyd, and a group of us felt we had to do something. We had to do something. There was a call in the city to ring our tower bells. We don't have a bell in there. So we did what we could. We brought the handbells out. And we decided we could ring bells along Montview. And here it is 3 years later. We're still ringing, and we will continue to ring. We ring for 9 minutes and 28 seconds, which is the amount of time that the officer kneeled on George Floyd's neck. That is a long time, and every Monday we are aware of that. But we have to keep this in our front of our minds. We have to keep reminding people we're not done with this subject. We have not fixed this issue. We get a lot of waves. Some are with one finger. Some are fist pumps, and they're supportive, and some are fist pumps that are not. It's been 3 years. It's been 3 years, and there's been so many more murders since then. So that's what I want people to take away is, oh yes, this is an ongoing issue that we need to be aware of. I don't know how to stop this, and as I learn more, it's more heavy on my heart. So it is something I can do regularly. It raises attention in our church members' families. It's just something that I can do.
Can attest, they are out there in all weather and all times of year. Also, if you're greeting a church group with the middle finger, time to reconsider your life. You know what I'm saying?
Children's Hospital of Colorado raffles off another $1 million home for the 9th straight year. So what are they doing that the other home raffle isn't? You know, the other one that never actually gives away a home. And a chorus of tiny violins for the NBA worrying that no one will watch the Nuggets in the finals. I think the Nuggets' superpower is fewer people watching. That's next.
The Children's Hospital Colorado Mighty Millions raffle has once again done something that should not be shocking, but is. The home raffle has given away a home. That's a feat that another local home raffle has not managed to do in 15 years. For the 9th year in a row, the winner of the Mighty Millions raffle has won the home. Children's Hospital Colorado says they raised about $3 million through this year's raffle, sold 119,000 tickets. Children's Hospital Foundation gives away the grand prize home regardless of how many tickets are sold. Unlike the Boys and Girls Club's home raffle, their Mile High raffle is the one that has not given away the advertised grand prize home, there it is, once in 15 years. Their fine print is that they have to sell 80,000 tickets to give away the prize, so maybe next year. I read an article today headlined, "A Heat Nuggets NBA Finals Could Be a TV Ratings Nightmare for League." To which I say, who the hell cares? Not the Nuggets. I mean, if those guys were motivated by the number of eyeballs watching them on TV, they would have folded 3.5 years ago when the contract dispute took them off Comcast and Dish. Instead, during the course of that fight, where everyone loses, the Nuggets just kept winning, made the playoffs every year that they have been off of most televisions in town. The national media also seemed quite disinterested in this Nuggets team. Well, you know what? Their loss only makes them look foolish as more and more Americans get to see this team play and realize there's something special. The Nuggets are not trying to win a popularity contest or a TV ratings battle. They're trying to win a championship, no matter who's watching or isn't. Your feedback on a word that I've been using around here, next. Feedback tonight from Barbara Ellen and from Frank and from Randall and from Neva, all of whom will be disappointed in my whereabouts over the weekend. I was local. They all wrote in saying that I should head to Kyle, Texas for the world record attempt at gathering a bunch of people named Kyle in one place. Sadly, I could not make it, but there was a Kyle from Denver who went down. A viewer named Joyce sent us this photo of her son Kyle at the gatherings of 1,800 other Kyles. See, now, this dude right here doesn't look like a Kyle to me. I'm sure he's very nice. I picture somebody with like a lot of hair gel slamming a Monster Energy drink. I don't know that any of those look like Kyles to me. I need to broaden my horizon of Kyles. Ultimately, this pile of Kyles was about 500 short of the world record for a single name gathering, so sorry about that. John Leary says, why are you using the term migrant for illegal aliens? These aren't butterflies or birds migrating. So John, here's the deal. Seeking asylum is not illegal. When somebody presents to Customs Border Patrol and they get an A number, they start a legal process. And them being here is no longer illegal at that point. Migrants, see you next time.